I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us today on Newsmakers. Today we're focusing on a program in the Joplin region, and actually throughout the whole country, but specifically here in Joplin, Meals on Wheels, and how it's helping others, but also looking for people to help out as volunteers. We're going to look inside Meals on Wheels as well as inside the Senior Center. And joining me today we have Pat Atteberry from the Senior Center and also Mike Howard, who's been working many years with Meals on Wheels. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And this is part of the nutrition program that the Area Agency on Aging oversees.
Yes.
So the people may not realize all the many different services, but nutrition is an important service for seniors throughout the region.
It certainly is.
So, Mike, if someone comes up to you and says, well, what is Meals on Wheels? How do you define that for them?
Well, it's actually just a home delivery of a hot, nutritious meal every 5 days a week.
So during the week, weekdays, they're getting their meals delivered to their home.
Yes.
And so specifically people who are shut-ins, I guess, who can't get out to go somewhere to eat.
That's it.
They have to be homebound as such, for whatever the reason, that they don't drive, don't get out. Yeah, and that's the requirement.
Now I know I've looked at some information. I'm reading that you serve more than 23,000 meals per month through the Area Agency on Aging. That's a lot of people being served throughout the community.
It sure is.
So, of course, you're representing the Joplin Senior Center.
Yes.
So, let's talk a little bit about the Joplin Senior Center and perhaps how this whole. We'll start talking about how this operation works. How it happens.
Well, I work inside, and when the people come in once a year, we have a form that has to be filled out.
Okay.
This is a requirement, government requirement. They usually try to start them the 1st of July. That's sort of a new year that they're starting. Right. And after they fill out the information on the pink slip, it has questions also on the back. Then they're presented with a plastic card, and it takes 2 or 3 days for the cards to be printed up.
I think.
And then when they come in, I work on the computer, and more or less you might say a greeter or something, but I have to make sure that all the people are logged in, because we have different various things we do, like the lunch, and then there's a pool room. There's a lot of gentlemen that come in just to play pool, and we have the blood pressure machine. They also play dominoes. Once a month they have a foot clinic, and we have a gentleman now that teaches guitar lessons, and all of these things are printed, are listed on the computer daily. And so when they come in, they have to be logged in, because we have to be accountable for everybody that comes into the Senior Center and the things that they're taking part of.
So they basically register to participate in the activities at the Senior Center. So Mike, if someone who was interested in getting the meals, what's the process for registering or to being accepted into the home delivery service?
Well, they need to contact the Area of the Aging or the Joplin Senior Center. There is an assessment process where one of our ladies, Rita Breen, goes out, interviews the people. There are certain qualifications they have to meet to be eligible for that delivery. And then after that happens, they get on a route and we deliver.
So they meet certain eligibility requirements. I guess one of the first questions people might ask is, how old when we use the term senior? What are we referring to?
60 years or older.
60 or older.
Yeah.
So you can have some young seniors receiving services. And of course the homebound, you're talking about, they for some reason cannot get out, whether it's their health or, what about situations where maybe somebody has a caregiver taking care of them? Is that still a possibility?
That is a possibility. Again, it depends on the situation.
Right.
We have an occasion where we'll have someone that is a caregiver 24 hours a day, and that has something to do with how they look at it. Yeah.
So as we're talking now, if someone's interested, they need to call the Senior Center and say, please send someone out to visit with me.
Right.
Start that process. Well, I know in looking at the information I received that there's a need for drivers.
Always.
So.
It's an odd thing. Most of the drivers are retired people. And funny thing, they take vacations, they travel, have surgeries, new grandkids. So yeah, there's always a need for drivers.
So if someone who's watching would say, well, I could take some time to be a driver, what type of time commitment are we talking about? What they're involved
Probably a couple hours a day. The meals are put out, first of all, the cold portions of the meals are packed and put out in coolers. Then the hot meals are started About 10 o'clock, and usually we have them out by 10:20 or so. Most of the routes, hour and a half at the most.
Okay.
So you're looking at a couple hours.
And can they say, I can't do it every day of the week? They can choose a certain day if they want to do that?
Any day, any week, as many as you want. Yeah.
So, and we're coming off the summer season. I can imagine how vacations affect probably even the senior center in the summer.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Shorter of numbers and tying that together. So, do people work as solo, or do you encourage them to work in pairs? How do you work on the meal delivery usually?
Well, it works both ways. We have a lot of husband and wife teams that do it. Naturally, they get done quicker than the ones that do it single, like I do, you know. But it's a mixture. Right now, we have several couples delivering.
Now, when you say a route, you'll get a list from the senior center as you pick up the food, and you've got to go to this person's A, B, C, D. You've got a certain set path that you take as you
Yes,
ride.
ma'am. We have 11 different routes, and we try to set them up as much as possible in an easy delivery order. But they change every day because Joe Smith's not home today. He's gone to the doctor or Walmart or wherever he went, you know.
Right.
So they do change, but we try to keep the routes limited to about 18 meals per day, per route.
And the agency provides the coolers, the materials that do these deliveries.
All you got to do is provide the physical labor in the car.
Yeah, the way to drive across town.
Right.
And we're talking the Joplin Senior Center, so you're Joplin city limits.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So if someone's watching Webb City, Carthage, Carl Junction, some of the other communities, they would perhaps have a similar program at their
They
center.
do, yes. I think all of them do.
They all have these types of services for them. So you're working, you have this standard route that you're able to do this. What about occasional volunteers? I know sometimes you hear organizations want to volunteer and help out. Maybe they can't say, I can do every Thursday or every Wednesday, but I'll be willing to help you. Can they do that as well?
Yeah,
Kinda fill in?
well, as an example, today I did a route I normally don't do because the man who normally does it is on vacation. So yes, there's always a spot somewhere.
There's always some fill-in needs.
Yeah. Mondays and Fridays are our most difficult days to fill.
Those are
obviously for
like the weekends.
right, people get ready for the weekend.
Right.
Well, how do you handle holidays? We're recording this program coming off of a 3-day weekend with a holiday. What happens on holidays?
All right, we did not deliver Monday.
Because of the Labor Day holiday.
But we put out a frozen meal to each individual on Thursday and Friday to cover that day. We always do that. If it's a 2-day holiday, same thing.
So they can put it in the freezer and cook it, warm it up themselves.
Right.
And then they also, through 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, put out what they call an emergency pack that we just give to the people to keep in their freezers in case something happens and the center is not open.
Right.
Or
the snow days that we have at schools, you have probably snow days at the center.
If the schools are closed, then the center is
would be closed as well. So it's not safe to be driving those delivery routes if the roads are bad.
You mentioned the snow thing. They gear that on the first day that the schools in Joplin are closed. The senior center will be closed, as well as the homebound meal. From that point on, it's a decision of the area of the aging as to whether we'll be open or not.
Okay.
Because the schools have different
they're driving buses on the streets. You're driving
and
individual
they're
cars.
taking people home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon where we're already done and gone. So it's a question of judgment.
Right. So
at
the
that
center,
point.
the area agency can decide how we're going to be able to provide those services. Well, Pat, I know some people might be curious about the types of foods. What you're bringing to people when you first start off talking about the Meals on Wheels. What people can find when you knock on their door and say, "Here's your meal for today." So, what are some examples of what the meals?
Well, they like I said, they're very nutritious meals. They always have meat, vegetables. The meals. Now, like I said earlier when we were talking, we have what we call taco salad day. Now, that's very, very popular for the center because we serve probably 125, 130 people that day, where normally it's maybe 50 or so. But, and like today, they had the chicken Alfredo, and then they had the spinach and strawberry salad, which sometimes that doesn't sound too good to people, but it was delicious because I ate it. And then we had the wheat roll. They usually always try to serve wheat rolls now. And then they always have the different kinds of milk in the center, which they have the chocolate milk, buttermilk, 2% milk, whole milk, and we also serve tea and coffee and water. And then they had, and today we also had an apple for dessert.
Got the seasonal fruit.
Yeah, they always serve fruit, it seems like. Once in a while we'll have what they call a breakfast. And we found it's not really popular with the people, so they're trying to, but our meals come from the state and the area agency.
Okay.
And then once a month they have a birthday dinner, and they always have cake and strawberries, and it's chicken, oven fried chicken, mashed potatoes. And then they give away flowers for the anniversary and the birthday
come into
cake.
the center
they have
for
a
these
drawing.
Everybody's had a birthday in September,
in that
comes
month,
in that day.
Right. So in September, it's usually like the third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Now we also, some days they have spaghetti, which that's pretty popular with them.
Right.
And they've had fish, chips.
A wide variety of foods.
Oh yes, And now they even had one day they had liver and onions. And I had them one time, and they're good because I like liver and onions. But they also had smothered Swiss steak that day, so you could have your choice. Right.
And I know the Area Agency on Aging has a website where you can see these menus. I mean, if you go to their website and look under senior centers, they'll be able to see. And we have their website on the screen now that I think, here's menus. You can just click, and day by day, they've got the month planned out for people.
Right. Also, the newspaper prints a paper once a month, which Mike delivers the papers on Thursday. If I'm not busy, I'll help him. But
so they've been able to have those.
And they have the menu. Now, they will be coming out tomorrow.
For the next month coming up.
For September, right.
So, Mike, do the people who are getting home deliveries see similar foods? If you're going to have spaghetti at the center, you're probably going to have spaghetti delivered that day?
Most all of the time, yeah. Now, like the liver and onion meal, no. They had the Swiss steak.
They had the Swiss steak instead, because you don't want to have people saying, I don't want this, and you're hungry. Right. What about the personal side of, people, when you see a lot of people as you're bringing them the meals, the difference having this warm meal in the middle of the daytime makes for them?
A lot of people, we're the only people they see, to be quite honest. I think they enjoy it. They enjoy having someone come to their house and obviously bringing them a meal they don't have to prepare. We find that there are a lot of people that, because of physical problems or whatever's wrong with them, can't prepare hot meals or don't have the facilities like a microwave or something to fix their meals. So it's a good deal. My mother, before she passed away, took the meals, and because of that and a little help from me, but she lived to be 101 years old in her own home by herself.
It helps people maintain their independence that way.
It certainly does, yes.
And do you find a lot of those people who may be getting those meals, you said they're getting to see someone, they are truly homebound or shut in, they don't have a lot of interaction, unfortunately, the family's moved away or something like that?
Correct, yeah. A lot of times we're the only ones they see during the day, and I was telling Pat, I did a route today I hadn't done in quite a while. Made me feel real good because 3 different people said, "Hey, where you been? We haven't seen you for a while." So yeah, they know you.
Right. So you build up some friendships or acquaintances as Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Jones, Doctor, down the street and so forth. And
and that happens in the center. I have found when the people come in, we get acquainted with them, and they get to talking to us.
Right.
You hear lots of stories.
They want someone to talk to and to share their story.
And we also have volunteers inside too. A lot of the people, they're either walking with a walker and they can't get around very well. So someone brings them usually to the center, and then we have volunteers that they put their name on a list and they deliver the meals to them at the tables.
Because they can't carry that tray with them in a walker.
Exactly, true. So we're always needing volunteers inside. And we have some that are real regular, and I really appreciate them. I think they're very wonderful people. I'd like to mention them, but I can't do that.
But that's a small part of their day too, then. They would come during the lunchtime. And what time would you serve the meals in the center then?
At 11:30 to 12:30.
Okay, great.
And we have people people. They do leave the buffet open until 12:30.
Okay, so you don't have to be there right at 11:30. You can come in at noon and
No,
still
we
have
have
plenty of
people
food.
that come in 15, 20 after 12, and so.
Well, it sounds like you have a busy staff at the center preparing all these meals. You have a cook or someone who helps put all this together?
Oh, yes.
They have 6 people that work in the kitchen. They have a head cook and assistant cook and other people.
Right.
And yeah, they prepare all of the meals, put them out, package them for us, homebound, and then serve the folks inside later, you know.
It's
Pretty well organized operation.
They have a system in place to make
Yeah.
it work.
Yes, they do.
Right. And when they package them for you, you mentioned that so somebody's receiving a prepared plate and it's sealed and, you know, here's your food,
Yes.
you know, so it's
Yes.
all ready to keeps it warm in those packages you were talking about.
Oh, yes.
So they're
And our delivery time, like I say, is most of the routes are delivered within an hour, hour and a half. So the food stays hot.
right.
If they decide to eat when you deliver, they can usually sit down and do it.
It's ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to building the acquaintances and the friendships and meeting people, do you find that people who deliver meals also are kind of on the outlook for anything that's irregular? You know, if Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Smith, somebody just suddenly is not behaving the same way as they were before, and so.
Yeah, we watch for that, and especially if you do the same route, you know, all the time, you get well acquainted with their habits and how they're acting. There's been some changes in the way we have to handle that. Now, if we see a problem, we need to contact senior services, or if it's a situation which has happened, I'm sorry to say, where you find somebody that's either unconscious on the floor or deceased, for that matter, then we call the police department, and just normal common sense procedure.
Right.
But we find things like natural gas leaks. You can smell them. Fortunately, I don't know of any time we've ever found any elder abuse or anything. But there are things that you watch for, and report them.
So do you maybe help serve as a resource for them to get help if, say, their front porch needs a little bit of work? There's somebody the agency can refer them to do that.
Yeah, the area on aging has contact numbers, and if you call them, if you've need some assistance, they can usually find a group that does that, you know.
Okay, so it's part of that overall networking for seniors, you know, somebody needs help to help each other out and just serve along those lines. Well, I know a couple of weeks ago at Missouri Southern there was called it a community day, when they had a lot of different organizations from around the community here, and one of those organizations was the Area Agency on Aging, the Senior Center, and they had a flyer saying, you know, Meals on Wheels volunteer delivery drivers needed, and I thought it was interesting because they said groups and clubs can help out. So
Correct.
you encourage people if they're in a service organization or something to...
We have 3 or 4 churches that they send somebody to deliver one day a week. They rotate their people too.
Right.
As many organizations and businesses and such that are in Joplin, we could use some more help.
Always.
Put it bluntly.
So from the student perspective, a student at Missouri Southern, this could be an opportunity for them to get involved in the community.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
We have had some of I think the baseball team last year and maybe the volleyball team assisted and delivered for us on one day, I think Friday. And did a fine job. We're glad to have them. Yeah.
So you encourage them in the center as well, if somebody wants to give some time to help you out there as well?
Oh yes, that's true. Well, in fact, we did have some, I can't recall the people that came in. They have, it's the center down just south of us. Medical.
The medical.
New medical school?
Yes, they came up one day and volunteered, and they took the meals to everybody. Then nobody had to get up that day. They were just very, very helpful people. Helped clean up and took their trays, empty trays back, and it was wonderful.
So they really stepped forward and did kind of a special gift to the center that day.
Right, and if any organization would be interested, they could contact the senior center there at the Joplin and talk to Betty. Or
schedule them in.
Right.
And Mike, you mentioned a lot of the people who are delivering meals, obviously they're retired perhaps because that gives them the time in the middle of the day to do this.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
And of course, there's a lot of young retirees nowadays too.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, since I've started doing this, the volunteer pool, so to speak, has changed considerably. A lot of younger retireds, you know, in their early 60s.
And we hear a lot about the baby boomer generation
Yeah.
retiring and so forth. So this is an opportunity for people to do something beyond their work years.
Right.
Yeah. And I think they would enjoy it. I really do.
So perhaps it's just the unknown sometimes. People say, what am I going to be doing? Where am I going to be doing this at?
Right. Now, I tried delivering meals with Mike, but I told him, I said, this just isn't my thing. And so that's when they decided to
We can work inside the center.
work inside. And I enjoy my job inside. I just wish I could donate more time to them. But
And people are busy in retirement. I'm sure you have a lot of people that, you know, like you say, they have grandkids or traveling, you know, so you know, they can't say I can be there every day, Monday through Friday at that time of day.
No.
Tying that together.
But that's very helpful. Mike's been with them for years.
Well, something we haven't mentioned is the costs that are involved, and I think the Area Agency on Aging on their website even has a graphic, maybe on their opening page. But you know, this costs the agency, it costs them money to be able to provide these services.
Right.
They accept donations, period. There is no fee as such. I think their suggested donation for a meal on wheels is $3.50. But if you can't pay it, that's okay. You're
still going to get your meal.
You're still going to get your meal, yeah. That's the reason for the use of volunteers and the fundraising drives they have. Some of it's state funded, but basically it just comes from donations, you know.
And this could be individuals or company donations. There's a lot of ways you can help out. And I think we saw briefly a graphic on the screen that talked about, you know, you're part of an American Meals on Wheels program, so it's, you know, how tying all that together. And there's some interesting facts here talking about how the money helps other people. And you're really getting a lot, you know, $3.50 for the type of meal you're describing. That's quite a deal if somebody.
I tell you, you sure couldn't go eat any place and get a nutritious meal like that. Not at all. It's really.
So the value that you're providing for people in that area. And trying all those things together. Do you have any special seasonal things? Like we're in start of fall, when the holidays come around, do they, I know the center probably has a lot of seasonal activities. Do you carry some of these on out to the meals that you deliver?
Not really, no. Other than maybe a special meal for Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, but no, in answer to that question.
Right, but at Thanksgiving you might make sure you have a turkey meal to deliver to someone.
Right. Yes, they do that.
And
same way inside, but and then they have fundraisers inside too, and the fundraisers that they have inside the center is going towards the Meals on Wheels program also.
So they're helping the other people who can't come to the center through the fundraiser that they're doing there.
Right. They have a craft fair. I don't know when it's going to be exactly this year, but they have one planned later in the year. And then they've been doing like bingo classes, and they charge so much for playing your bingo cards and stuff. And they have nice prizes that we have different places that
they'll donate the prizes.
Right. Right.
Now, you mentioned need for more drivers. Are there people on a waiting list per se for meals? Or
yes, ma'am. There are. We have pretty much a limited number of meals we can deliver on a route because of capacity of people's vehicles and coolers and all of that.
Right.
We have 11 routes. We could probably have 3 or 4 more if we had the people to do it.
So it's the volunteers who are holding back being able to provide the services to people.
Pretty much, yes. Yes. And we have an excellent group of volunteers.
It sounds like you can build a lot of camaraderie perhaps with the volunteers as you gather at the center and pick up the food.
Kind of fun,
You're talking about your experiences and so forth. Are there any memorable experiences that you've encountered in your time of delivering meals that really stands out in your mind? That,
There's a lot of them, Judy,
you want to share them all, right?
Sure. No, people are fun. And it's enjoyable to talk to them.
Right.
You have to be careful, as I tell the other volunteers. You need to learn to walk and talk at the same time, because some of them will talk your ear off.
They won't let you leave to go to the next person.
Right.
Exactly.
But they're very interesting. You know, what people have done in their life and what their occupations have been, and it's surprising. Sometimes you look at this nice little old man and think, nah, he didn't do all that, but he did. You know,
and he's looking to share his story with you.
Right. Yeah, I have been doing it for several years. I started because I didn't have anything else to do. I retired. My wife had passed away. I thought, I'll give this a try. Well, here I am.
Still doing it.
It just, you either enjoy it or you don't. And first of all, you have to like people.
Right.
And other than that, it doesn't require much work. It's not hard physical labor at all. So
it's enjoyable to get into the car, take that drive, and provide the services for people. Do you hear oftentimes from not only the people you're serving, but maybe their children will come back at some point? You know, that maybe not. I really appreciate you helping out Mom or Dad.
Yeah, that happens. You meet the kids at their homes, and the people that do one route all the time get pretty well personally acquainted with it, the folks and their families, and their, you know, it's just a good deal.
It builds up some community.
Yeah, it sure does.
And you have a sense of community within the center too. It sounds like you have, I don't want to use the term regulars, but people that know that you're going to see when they're
right, exactly. In fact, we had this one couple, she brings her father in every day. He just sort of lives to be able to come into the center. And her sister was back here from Texas. And so she was coming into the center also with her. Sort of got acquainted with her and found out, you know, different things. It's very interesting, some of their stories too.
Yeah, so a lot of sharing of stories, a lot of sharing of experiences. And
it is, very much so.
For people who tuned in late, they want to find out more information. Who do they need to contact?
As far as Meals on Wheels, a volunteer, the lady who is the homebound meal coordinator's name is Rita Breen. She is at the Joplin Senior Center.
Okay.
That phone number, if you want it, is 781-9353.
We haven't given the location, so let's also let people know where they can find it.
What is the address? 2016 South Pitcher?
South Pitcher.
It's right next to Mercy Park.
Okay. Yeah. So,
which is another thing, beautiful view of the park from the center. And,
so you can get a lot of, go out and walk the trails in the park while you're at the center.
Yes, because they have a lot of beautiful walking trails.
In fact, Pat tells me this because I'm never in the congregate part of it, but there are a lot of seniors that come in and do walk the park prior to eating or after eating.
Gather and then say, let's go take a walk and look at the trees and what's happening out there growing.
Yes, and I'm certain it's going to be beautiful there this fall.
Oh yeah, well, the rain we've had, everything should be nice this fall.
It will be. So.
Well, Mike and Pat, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me today, providing some information for our viewers.
Well, you're more than welcome.
More than
We've
welcome.
enjoyed.
You're welcome.
We thank you for inviting us.
Yes, we sure
thank you. And I'd like to invite our viewers to join us again next week. I'll see you again next week at the same time on this station. I'm Judy Stiles.